I'm Steph from I Drive a Classic, and I'm here today at Rustival, and I feel quite emotional really because we've put thousands of hours into this, and this is a show hosted by myself, Matt from Furious Driving, and Ian and Carly from the Hubnut channel. We have all invested blood, sweat and tears along with the PRL event team to create this event, and there are over 2,000 people here today, which is scary when you think about it, and around 1,000 cars. So in today's video I'm going to catch up with a few people that are here, show you as many cars as I can, but I've kind of got plans to spend most of my day over at the merch tent, so we'll try and see as much as we can. But I also got my own special area where I got to show off some of my favourite cars from friends that I've featured on the channel. So let me show you what I picked. And I was meant to only pick 7, but I picked 8 because, well, I like being cheeky and pushing my luck. So first of all, I picked this Citroen Ami. It's owned by my very dear friends Pete and Barry, and it's got quite a cheeky little horn actually. Ridiculous. Come and have a look what else we've got. We've got David's Standard Vanguard. Now, David's Standard Vanguard has been one of the most popular cars that we've ever had on the channel. And for me, that's quite refreshing because so many people tell me that people aren't interested in the older stuff. And that is complete nonsense. People love the older stuff. And this has had comments from around the world. So it's great to have it here today. And David has driven it down. And of course, absolutely no problems at all because it's a cracking little motor. And then we've got Freddie's Land Rover. So you'll know many of you, Freddie's our usual cameraman, but he's also my very much loved boyfriend. And this is his daily driver. And a lot of people seem to think that these Defenders are quite unreliable, but I would say that he probably doesn't spend more than 1 or 2 days a month fixing it. And for the amount of thrashing the thing gets, I think it's doing very well indeed. Now, of course, the star of the show, Nancy, my car. I'm so pleased that she's here. And the thing is I was going to bring the Marina, but look, all these show bits and pieces, it's really hard to get all of that done and to work on your own cars at the same time. And Nancy's been there for all the big moments in my life, and Rustival is definitely one of the big moments of my 30s. So I thought, I'm not going to leave her at home, she's coming with me. Now, Morris Minors are what gave birth to I Drive a Classic. If Morris Minors hadn't existed, I don't think I Drive a Classic would, which made sense to put, well, another Morris Minor on. Now, if you've been watching the channel for a while, you might remember this, and this is my friend Richard's Morris Minor from 1951. Very interesting story behind it because it's actually been to Canada and back, and the reason for that is it was sent over to Canada to be sold in the early 1950s to like 1951. It might have been late 1950. And it went over, but do you know what happened in Canada at that time? They had a massive recession, which meant that cars just weren't selling. And Morris thought, hold on, we've got a massive waiting list back in the UK. So they packaged all these cars back up and sent them back to England. But this car is particularly interesting because it's retained all its original Canadian features. So it's got the Canadian horn, it's got the special hubcaps from the time that are quite often lost. Now you'll notice that they're painted hubcaps, and the reason for that is it was a chromium shortage due to the Korean War. So they just started using these painted hubcaps. So they're all still on. Fantastically original car, and to say it's driven all the way from Somerset, it really does show that you can drive a side valve as far as your imagination will take you. Another car that is very much less spotted nowadays is the humble Mark I Metro. Now, this particular Metro was rescued by my friend Ryan. You'll have seen it on the channel before. We've been on many adventures in it, and a lot of people take stuff like this and don't really use it. Ryan uses this car every single week, all year round, for short journeys, long journeys. We've been abroad in it, we've been to the south of France. It is a blooming good little thing, and it's a real testament to the fact that if you care for a car, it really will last for you. Now, the next car coming up is this Vauxhall Victor. Now, this is a very special car because it has been to Australia and back. It's owned by Andy Sheraton, who restored my Morris Minor, and you know, I can't sing Andy's praises highly enough. Nancy's done so well, and as you can see here, he's worked his magic and really given this Victor a bit of sparkle back. Now, it was owned by somebody in England. They then moved to Australia for a number of years. They then took the car with them, and then when they came back to England, they brought the car back with them, which really shows that sometimes cars are so much more than a hunk of metal with 4 wheels attached. They really loved this, became too old to drive, and now it's in Andy's custodianship. And you've got Andy in there. We've got 3 generations in there. there because you've got Andy, his son Michael, and his beautiful granddaughter Delilah. So it's really nice because the whole family's sharing the love of it, and that really should be what classic cars are all about. And last but very much not least, this belongs to my friend Roger, this beautiful pre-war Standard. Again, another car that's been on the channel, and it was very highly enjoyed. So I thought, bang that on. But you know what? There's certainly more to see than these 8 cars that I've shown you now. So let's crack on. I'll show you what else is out there, try and catch up with a few people along the way. Now, I'm usually the most colourful woman at a car show, but today I have been beaten by Mandy, who has gone one further than me. Not only has she accessorised her outfit to the car, she's also accessorised her hair. Now, this incredible lady is driving a rather special vehicle. I'm sure you've seen them before. It's a Nissan Figaro, but this isn't in a traditional colour. So Mandy, did you pick this colour?
I did pick the colour. It was already painted this colour by another lady.
Yeah.
Who painted it the colour of Elvis's mum's car, because she was an Elvis fan.
Oh,
So that's why she chose the colour.
And so is it the exact shade?
Exact shade of Elvis's mother's car that he bought for her. And she was an Elvis fan. So
How
that's why
do you find that out?
Because when we went to buy it, she had a lot of Elvis memorabilia. She's a really interesting lady.
Yeah.
And she said, this is why I've changed the colour, because I'm an Elvis fan. And she loved the colour and the car, so she changed it. And I was like, wow.
That's cool.
And it's my favourite colour, so.
It is, you've really done good, you've really done well with it, because it's a lovely car and it's in lovely condition. But what made you pick a Figaro?
I've always liked the quirkiness of them inside. They're just so like retro inside, really different. I love the fact that they've got automatic, lovely steering. They're just like really fun cars to drive, and everyone smiles when you're driving it. They're just fun.
Well, I'm not surprised. It's such a jolly colour. Now, what else have you got in your show diary for this year?
We're going to the Car Fest.
Yeah, fantastic.
We're going to that in August.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll probably do a few more local ones as well, because we come from Wroxham near Norwich
Oh, okay.
in Norfolk.
Well,
So we're going to do some around there, local ones.
brilliant. Well, maybe we'll see you there.
Yeah, I hope so.
Now, there I was talking to Mandy, and I turned round, and what greets me but this beautiful Triumph Herald. And Mandy said, it's my friend Teresa's car. Teresa, is this your first Triumph Herald?
No, this is my third.
And what keeps bringing you back to the Herald?
Well, I learnt to drive in a Herald many years ago, and I just love them. They're just a fun little car, sort of easy to keep up, cheap, easy to keep on the road. Just love it.
And how often are you taking her out?
Well, we haven't had it too long, but I'm going to use it as my daily driver.
Are you?
Yes, yeah.
And have you got quite a big commute, or is it
No,
working from
only
home?
10 minutes, only 10 minutes down the road, so it's just nice and handy, but it's just nice to take it out, especially when the sun's shining, a little bit different.
Oh,
just love it.
absolutely. I think you're going to put a lot of smiles on people's faces.
Put a smile on my face driving it, so.
Oh, definitely. So you've had her 6 months. What's your next thing in your calendar to take her out to?
We've got a couple of car shows. We'll be taking it to the probably Hot Rod Super Nationals, a couple of VW shows, just anything local really.
Now, you are a bit of a hot rod fan, and I realise you've only had this 6 months. Have you got any ambitious plans to take her further?
No,
She's staying standard.
She's
then.
staying as she is, yeah.
Well, she's a lovely car. Have
Thank
a
you.
really great summer. Well, I think
Thank
we've got
you.
some sunny months ahead.
Real. Thank you very much.
Now, one of the great things about Rustival is that you just end up sparking conversation with anyone. And I knew about Joe already because I'd been stalking his page, full disclosure, because he's got some really cool pre-war stuff. And I said to Joe, I said, oh, you've not brought your pre-war car today. And he said, oh, it's because I'm kind of busy with something else and I want to talk to you about it. And it's not necessarily about his car. So tell us what you are doing at the moment, Joe.
I'm actually a dialysis patient, so I'm doing treatment 3 days a week for 4 hours to stay alive until I get a kidney transplant.
And you're doing a fundraiser around this, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm raising money for Kidney Care UK and the Loughborough Dialysis Unit that are actually looking after me at the minute.
And what are you doing to raise that money?
I'm driving a 1933 Austin 7 box saloon to our national rally at Bewley on the 30th of June
And
this year.
And where are you driving from?
From Leicestershire.
From Leicestershire. And you just think about all these people that have got classic cars that are so much newer that say, oh, I don't want to drive to a show in the next county. And you're taking a car that was made before the Second World War and you are driving it from essentially the Midlands all the way down to the southwest.
I'm back.
And back. And are you taking all the B roads? What are you doing?
Yeah, taking the back roads really. They won't be taking the main roads.
And you're doing that even though that you're poorly and you're pushing on with all your treatment?
Yeah, it's good to give something back and do something, you know, raise awareness and spread awareness about.
And I think this is one of the great things about our car community is that people do stuff like this and you must be so tired and yet there you are, you're like, right, I'm going to get this done, I'm going to smash it. Have you got a set time period that you're going to work in? Are you going to try to do it in 24 hours or are you giving yourself a couple of days?
We'll probably leave on the Saturday. The main rally's on the Sunday, so we'll probably attend the rally on the Sunday. I've got a dialysis slot booked at Bournemouth on Monday morning and then we'll start back on after the dialysis has been finished.
You are, and I try not to use this word too much because you see shows tend to overuse it, it feels a bit corny, but I actually find you incredibly inspirational because there are so many of us out there that are kind of half living our lives and you're doing this and you're pushing yourself. Now, you know, I don't usually do a big push for fundraisers, but I think this one's kind of touched me a bit because it's such a huge thing to be taking on and it's so brave to do it. So all the details for this fundraiser are in the description box below. Give it a check out. What's your fundraising goal? Have you got one?
Yeah, about £1,500 at the minute.
Well, I think we'll smash that. We'll put in a donation for My Driver Classic, and if you want to do it as well, you can. But if not, just make sure, just give the page a little share. Now, come on, let's go and have a look at some other cool cars that are here. Now, we have a very tall man. He's 6'5" with a very big van. Do you drive this every day?
At the moment, yes. I've got a 1990 Ford Escort that has succumbed to the rust demon.
Oh, no.
That I normally drive every day. But at the moment, yeah, this has been pulled back into daily duty.
Now, do you want to tell us all about her, how you ended up with her, how long you've had her?
I've only had her for about 3 years. It was one of those lockdown things.
Oh, yeah.
I saw it being advertised and then it got sold.
Okay.
And then through various contacts, they said, oh yeah, the person that's got it wants to turn it into a car transporter.
Oh.
Which is the fate of a lot of these.
Yeah.
But he's now umming and ahhing because he's found one that's more suited with a diesel engine.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's going to do that instead.
Yeah.
So we got contact and yeah, I went down and headed over and got a friend to drive me over and picked it up, paid some money over, jumped in it and drove it back.
Yeah.
Got out of it, around a mate's house to say, look what this idiot's just bought. Someone came off and offered me £1,500 more than what I'd paid for it.
Yeah.
Over because I'd done a 150-mile drive in it. So I could have made quite a few, but I wanted to keep it. I've always wanted a Mark II Transit.
It's just a vehicle that you don't see anymore. How many left do you know?
I've got no idea. I mean, the big thing is, it's not only the fact it's a Mark II Transit, it's a travel home, and you don't see too many of those left.
No, I mean, how many miles have you done in the last 12 months in this? You can have a guess.
Probably not in the last 12 months. Probably only, I don't know, 1,000 or so. Year before, about 2,500. I've got it on the limited miles, 5,000 mile policy because it's 17 mile to the gallon at the moment. and 17 miles to Laguna or an Escort that does 30.
And how many miles? So you're talking about driving this every day at the moment. How many miles a day are you doing?
I'm very, very lucky because my wife's coffee shop is a 2-minute walk from the house. So it might get occasionally pushed into driving to a cash and carry to pick up some beans and things like that, or heading down to do the weekly shop. But that's pretty much it.
Well, you've got plenty of space inside.
Oh, it's fantastic. And the nice thing is, if you do a weekly shop and you think I'm hungry, you put the kettle on. There's many a car park in a supermarket where I've sat in the back having a cup of tea.
Now, have you got any cool camping adventures or anything like that planned this year?
The big one is, I think you spoke to me mate Joe, and I've spoken to him about it. And when he does his mammoth marathon drive, it's giving me a date to sort the interior out.
Okay.
And I'm going to follow him along the road. So if he needs a rest, or it's the Great British Weather starts playing, like the Great British Weather does. Got a lovely day today, luckily. He's got somewhere where he can sit, have a cup of tea, have a rest, put his feet up for 5-10 minutes before giving allow him to do it, because I think you've got to look after your mates.
Oh, absolutely.
And don't want to sort of like him to fall out, or not fall out, but struggle if he's having to push it.
Yeah.
Because it's a long drive.
Well, you've got some fair few miles ahead of you on that one, so good luck.
Yep.
And it's really great to see this Mark II Transit. Thank you for sharing your story today.
No problem. It's great to see you. Great to be here. It's fantastic, isn't it? I'm looking around and all I'm seeing are people grinning.
Good.
Everyone is grinning.
Well, I think I've stumbled upon one of the most marvellous inventions I've seen today. George, what is this?
This is a Reliant Super Robin, a trials special.
Yeah.
It uses a standard Reliant three-wheeler chassis, engine, gearbox, slightly modified front suspension, a Bedford Rascal Super Carry rear axle.
Yes.
With homemade rear suspension, which is why it's a bit. It's a much softer suspension, which is ideal for rough roading.
I have got a handle though to hang on to, so I'm all right. Well, looking around me, did you build this yourself or did you buy it like this?
No, built it.
So did you take the Robin apart? What did you do?
Well, I started off with a Robin chassis.
Yeah.
And logbook, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Sat it up on blocks, wheeled the axle underneath and worked out how I could fix it on. And it all started from there. And then bits and bobs that I'd got in the shed. Ivor Williams trailer parts, horse box panels, you name it, it's in here.
Well, it's a rather marvellous invention. How long did this take you to make?
Oh, well, weekends, probably 18 months or so.
Is that it?
Yeah, it didn't take all that long.
Is this your first build, or have you done it before?
I've modified a Reliant before, but this is the first one I've started from scratch.
It's really cool. And then, so you take it out and you do your trials in it.
Sure.
Now, what are these panels here? What's going on with that?
Well, I'd overlooked one rule, that bodywork must surround the seat to a height of at least 9 inches.
Oh, yeah.
And it didn't. And somebody actually pointed out that it didn't comply. So I had to put doors on it.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a nifty little invention and it doesn't add much weight to the body, but
Not a lot.
means you tick the box. And so what adventures are you going on this year in terms of your trials? Have you got anything planned?
Well, as you can see from the state of it, I did a trial last weekend.
Yeah.
That was the March Hare from the Falcon Motor Club.
Yeah.
At Easter, I'll be doing the Motorcycling Club Land's End trial.
Brilliant.
That's about 300 miles with between 15 and 20 off-road sections thrown in.
Oh my goodness.
Start on a Friday afternoon, finish on a Saturday afternoon.
You're going to be so cold and tired, but you know what, good on you, because we talk about living life to the full, and this I think really is. And so have you got a partner that you take out with you? Have you got somebody that you kind of always do your trials with?
Yes, friend that navigates, and well, there are 2 or 3 friends that navigate at times, but one particularly, Celia, often does.
Oh, brilliant.
She'll
Well,
be doing the Land's End.
it looks very good fun, and we wish you all the luck in all your trials
Thank
that
you.
you've got planned. But for today, thank you very much for bringing her along, and thanks for not washing her. I think it's added a bit of interest.
Yes. I will have to clean it before the next trial, because they insist on it being clean for scrutineering.
Wow.
But, yeah.
And I think we might show people how you get out of this. And when you're in a dress, it's not the most dignified of exits, I must say. So you almost have to, and without giving anybody at home a little peep show, you have to slide on out.
I should go with the other foot first.
Yeah,
actually.
maybe the other foot first. Oh, God.
The other foot goes onto the back tyre.
You go onto the back tyre. I think we're going to have a you being framed moment any moment now. Oh! Woo! Job done. So I mean, looks really easy enough to drive, not too hard to get out of, and best of all, it has one of those little garden centre China Robins on. Who could ask for anything more? There I was walking down the road, and there were all these different cars in kind of silvers and muted tones, and suddenly the sun came out and it almost beamed down on this Cavalier, and I zoomed in like, honestly, I was like a wasp at a picnic. I thought, oh, that is amazing. And then I read the story and I realised that it was a Cavalier with a bit of a story. So Richard, tell us about you rescuing this car.
A friend of mine put me onto it, who I used to work with, and this car comes from the dealership I used to work
Really?
for, so it kind of found me more than anything. But yeah, it's been in the original owner's garage 25 years since he gave up driving through poor eyesight. Then he's passed away 5 years later, and then eventually his wife decided that she wanted the garage back. So
Understandably.
that's how I came across it, really. I say a friend of mine I used to work with at the same garage, he put me onto it. It's gone from there, really.
So if a car's been off the road for 25 years, now when I was younger I did this myself, and I took a car that had been driven in 20 years, and I was a bit of a young idiot who just kind of slapped it through an MOT, it passed, and I didn't worry too much. But realistically, there's quite a lot of work involved in recommissioning.
There is, yeah.
What did you do?
Firstly, just the engine itself, it would turn so far by hand, but you
Okay.
couldn't turn it a full revolution.
Oh, okay.
So I decided then we've pulled the rocker cover off, and some of the valves were stuck open. So I managed to free those off,
Yeah.
and then turn it by hand, and go that far. Got it turning on the starter, no fuel to it. The petrol pump was dead,
Yeah.
and replaced that. The carb itself originally was seized solid, you couldn't move it at all, so I had to soak that in diesel for about 2 weeks before I could get that to
Really?
move. Pull that back on again, and it still took a while. I replaced all the ignition stuff that I could see
Yeah.
looked tired, and got spark and everything, but it took quite a while for it to crank over, and eventually it started to catch. And I don't know if the compression rings were stuck or, but it didn't start straight away. And I thought, well, I'll get the engine going first,
Yeah.
and then we could worry about the other things after. And I got it started one Sunday, left it running a bit, thermostat opened. It still got the original clean antifreeze in it at that point,
Yeah.
so I was pro pleased with that. Then I went on to the brakes, because it had no brakes at all.
Oh, God.
So I sent the master cylinder and the calipers away to be reconditioned.
Yeah.
Got some new cylinders for the back, they were fairly easy to get. Put those on it and put all that together. Luckily the exhaust and everything was still in one piece.
Oh, you were lucky.
So, yeah. And then we just had a little drive down the street in it to see what
Yeah.
else was wrong with it. Both back wheel bearings were shot, they were just gone dry.
Oh, yeah.
They were really noisy. It's just been going through stuff as you've gone along, really, just to make sure that everything, I've had the bearings out the front, re-greased them all, new disc and pads, everything, all the new brake pipes, new flexible pipes. Just go through stuff that is going to be suspect after that time.
And so how many man hours do you think are in the car from that point of you picking up the
like to
car on that
say.
day to it getting its first MOT?
I'd say probably a good 6 months a weekend. Mainly one-day
okay.
weekends, but
Yeah.
you know, through the winter you don't stick it out long in the garage.
Oh no, it's a lot of commitment, isn't it, for a car that you don't know and you haven't got any shared memories with.
No.
So good on you, because how hard is it to get parts for something like this?
The mechanical parts not too bad. The, you know, general servicing stuff, bearings and all that are not too bad. eBay's pretty good with stuff like that. Just the variations you've got to watch out for, because some of the stuff was wrong, said it was right, but it weren't. You know, then you've got to find another one then. But yeah, the body panels, you can get them. I mean, I've replaced this wing because it had a bit of a knock from the previous owner.
Yeah.
And after about a year of running it, the head gasket decided to let go there.
Oh God.
So I just checked the water one day and it was full of oil. I thought, oh no.
Nightmare.
And we pulled it apart,
Yeah.
and there was the tiniest little vein of rust through
no.
it, and it had just pumped the oil into the water.
Nightmare. So what have you got planned for this year? If you're going to any good shows?
Just generally go to some local shows. This is the furthest I've been in it really since I've got it back on the road.
And how far have you travelled today?
80 miles today.
80 miles, that's blooming good going. Well, thank you so much for coming to the show. Hope you enjoy the rest of it. There are
Yeah, it's
so
great.
many great cars to see.
There
so
are.
we're going to go off and have a look at some of those, and we'll leave you with your lovely Cavalier. Thank
Nice
you very
to talk
much.
to you.
Well, there I was walking back to the merch stand and I stopped and I went, is that an Alpha Sun? Is that in green? And anyway, I bumped into Nick, who is the owner of the vehicle. Nick, where did you get this Alpha Sun from?
It belonged to a very good friend of mine who owned it for about 5 years. Sadly passed away in 2016, and I purchased it from his parents, and I've had it ever since. Been cherishing it and driving it around not only the UK but Europe as well.
And where in Europe have you been?
To Germany, Belgium, France. Yeah.
And she's managed it all perfectly?
Absolutely fine. We stuck to about 60 miles an hour. It's capable of more, but yeah, it's comfy, quiet, economical.
And how easy do you find it to get parts?
There's a few specialists in the UK, and I've managed to accrue quite a lot of spare parts over the years. I passed my test in one in 1983.
Did you really?
And I've had one ever since. Yeah. So.
And so what's all the cars that are out there, and you keep coming back to the Alpha Sun,
Yes.
What is it about the car that draws you back in time and time again?
It's the driving experience, it's the look of the car, it's the mechanical excellence of it, and belonging to the Alfa Romeo Owners Club as well. Met so many good people, so many friends over the years. Yeah, and it's just so enjoyable to drive. Yeah.
Brilliant. So what you're talking about, collecting up all these panels and bits and pieces.
Yeah.
What's next for you in this gorgeous car?
Well, the plan is when I retire in the next few years, I shall make use of all these panels and spares. I've got new wings, bonnet, rear 3/4, doors, boot lid. So I'm going to go through the whole car, and hopefully it'll look decent one day.
Right, maybe it's my own low personal standards, but I looked at this car and thought it looked really good already.
Yes.
If half of my cars look this decent, I'd be chuffed to bits. I can't wait to see what you achieve with the
thank you.
restoration.
Thank you. I call it a 10-yard car. It's okay from 10
Well, I
yards.
tell you what, I haven't got my glasses on, but it looks really good from here. So I
Thank
think
you.
top notch, really great to see a car out that is so lesser spotted nowadays, and to hear so many positive things said about both the car and the club. So thank you very much for your time.
Well, thank you.
For those of us that aren't very old, I have an absolutely horrific fact to tell you, which is that the Montego is 40 years old this year. And when I look at something like this, it feels very modern. So this is a horrifying time to be alive. But the great thing is there are still quite a few of these about, despite them being very much an everyman, everyday sort of car. And this is the great thing, is when people save stuff that was completely ordinary and bring it and give it a new lease of life. Now, if you look under this bonnet, you'll notice that's probably not quite what Austin Rover intended. Now, Robert, what is going on under here?
There's quite a lot going on under here, basically. So you got the engine out of a Rover 220 Coupe Turbo, which then itself has been fully forged internal-wise.
Yeah.
You've also got a bigger turbo, lots of other stuff. Long story short, I need to get it on the rolling road, but it should be anywhere between 250, 300 horsepower. Certainly 300 is the target. So.
And what's your top speed, do you reckon?
I don't know. I had the same engine with not quite such a high spec in a Maestro, and that went off the clock at 150. The clock on this
Really?
only goes to 130. I know it goes off of that quite happily.
Oh, you need
Too
to get
happily,
like
to
one
be
of,
honest.
You need to get one of those speedo apps and get yourself down onto a racetrack and see what it
well,
achieves.
I do need to do that, to be fair, but yeah. It's kind of been off the road for about 10 years, so now I've just got a load of welding done on it, got it back on the road, trying to have a bit of fun in it and see what it can actually do. So
did you rescue it after it being off the road for 10 years?
no, well, it was in my possession.
Oh,
but,
okay.
Yeah, kids and everything else, put it all on the back burner, but I just couldn't bring myself to part with it. So
No, well, I think you've
Yeah.
done the right thing, not getting rid of it and bringing it forward. And it's really great to see cars like this appreciated, because I think they've flown under the radar for so long.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of a renaissance now for things
Oh,
like
definitely, yeah,
this
yeah.
and the Maestro. And it's great to see.
Yeah.
So
I've got
you're
to say, in
part
the
of-
10 years, it gets a lot more attention than it used to as well. It used to get kind of ridiculed. Now everyone wants to talk about it and see it, which is a big change.
Well, it's so great that you've brought it here today. Thank you so much for bringing it. Really great to see all the modifications that have been done. Have you done them yourself?
Most of it. So I bought it with the engine fitted, but
Yeah.
everything else around it had been stripped because the guy was getting rid of it. So I basically rebuilt it back up to its former glory as such, and yeah. So
Well,
everything around it's new.
Well done. I tell you what, it's jolly good going. It looks really smart under the bonnet. You've done a cracking job. Good luck, and hopefully we'll see you on a racetrack later this year.
Yeah.
The funny thing is when you're a woman and you drive a car from the 1960s, people go, "Cool, that's old," and act like you're almost travelling around in a horse and cart. But I met Ryan at the NEC a while back, and again, just like me, Ryan's also very into vintage fashion, but also likes his old cars. But Ryan didn't stop in the middle of the 20th century like me. He's gone way back, and he's got some incredible pre-war cars. And actually, he's doing a lot to drive the movement forward with the under 40s. So Ryan, tell us about your Singer and what you're trying to do to drive forward that under 40s generation into pre-war cars.
So it wasn't actually my first pre-war car. My first pre-war car was a 1939 Rover P2. A big saloon car, great for long journeys or a trip around town, but I wanted something a bit sportier that I could get involved in the pre-war kind of sports with a VSCC and go down to Brooklands and take around the track. So I was looking at MGs at the time, as you do, MGTAs, etc. And the Singer came up, and at the time I knew nothing about them. I thought, a Singer, it's a sewing machine, which it isn't, by the way. But this came up, I bought it and I saved it from a greenhouse down in Newquay. Been stored, all the rubbers had cracked, everything, gaskets had gone because it's a hot climate and the greenhouse to make it worse.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got it back, and a week later I was at Brooklands going around the banking, which was
fabulous.
the dream to me, because from my clothing I look into history and pictures, and in the 30s Brooklands was the place to be. So I was back there in the car, and I'm kind of going out on kind of Instagram and YouTube, trying to get the younger generation involved, because I was at the NEC, the restoration show back last year, and I was watching an interview of one of the club chairmen, and he got asked the question, how are you getting young people introduced into the club? And he said, we're not. And the next question was, why is that? He said, well, they're just not interested.
Oh, it's that old myth again.
It is, and I really think they are, because I've got a lot of people like coming to me saying, where do I buy the cars from, how do I get into it, and I point them, and a few of them have actually bought cars from that. And it's just that you have to use modern techniques like YouTube and Instagram just to push, trying to show they are cool cars. They might not be the fastest, but you can still work on them, you still get parts, you can still enjoy them, and they're different. I mean, you see this driving down the road, you see a Ferrari driving down the road, this is probably going to get more looks than the Ferrari.
Oh, 100%.
What I don't do it to show off, I just like to be different. And that's kind of like pushing it to the younger generation of, you can have one of these as your first car, you can work on it, you can drive it still, you go to college in it, and it's going to be different to what everybody else has got. And it's just want to try to get that across, and some of the clubs aren't doing that. They just want to enjoy the cars for what they are. And
yeah.
not do anything more with it.
Well, I think it's brilliant that not only do you have a passion for these, but you're trying to inspire other people to get into the cars and get excited about them. So if we want to catch up with you, we can find you on Instagram and YouTube, and your handle is Suits and Cylinders. So that's suits like you wear and cylinders as in cylinders within the engine, which is a really good name. And Ryan puts up really good content as well around all his clothing as well. So if you're into all that as well, it's a double whammy, it provides it both. Thank you so much. Tell us, for all the people, all the naysayers out there that don't think you can get anywhere in a car this old, tell us how many miles you drove today.
We come from Lincoln, so I'm going to say that's about 160 miles.
160 miles. Do you know what? There are people that won't even drive their modern car that far. Well done, Ryan. Big round of applause, and we'll catch you at some other shows this summer.
See you soon.
Here's the thing, is that one of the big things that jumped out for me for Rustival was that there were so many of the next generation that were here. And by next generation, I mean people like little Clara. Clara, how old are you?
10.
Clara's 10, and she's been our youngest volunteer today, helping to run Rustival. And what I really love is I met Clara a little while ago, and we were talking about minis, because her passion is minis through the family. And that's been one of the big things today, is it's been so great to see people bring along the next generation. Clara, did you have a favourite car today?
Yes.
Which one was it?
It was a purple Morris Minor, and it was called Violet.
Oh, the lady that owns that, I think that might be Lisa's car. So it's a beautiful car, isn't it? But Clara's recently just discovered Morris Minors, because I let her have a sit in Nancy. And now Clara's got a bit of a passion for Morris Minors. So there's two takeaways here. Number one is, it's get them started young, because you can brainwash them into loving the cars that you love. And also, get people involved that are kind of a little bit interested, because it's that little seed of inspiration. You get them in the driving seat, you get them feeling that steering wheel, get that passion going, and that is what will take our cars through to the next generation. Now it's time for us to go home, isn't it? You've done a fantastic job today. Clara's been brilliant. I think we might put her on the payroll next time. She's been just superb with all our help. And so I guess from us, that's it, isn't it? We've done our work today. Hope you're all okay at home, but until next time, take care and drive safely.
Bye.